Think of a song that makes you cry. There must be one. If I write such a song, will it mean something greater than us?
I think I should begin with some Homer, not the dude in the cartoon, like Homer, the Greek guy who wrote the Odyssey. One of my favourite parts in that epic story is when Odysseus goes down to the underworld, and it's part of one of his many tasks, and he meets his mother sort of across this sort of river, lake, stream thing, and they're allowed to talk to each other. It's a really powerful moment in the whole story. I mean, the Greeks' attitude towards death and the afterlife and the underworld is fascinating. Anyway, the mother sees, or she waits patiently, and she steps forward after she sees Odysseus, and she says, "Son, how did you come to be here, you who are still alive?"
This is no easy place for living eyes to find, for between you and us flow wide rivers and fearful waters. Mother, I cried with words that winged their way to her. Why do you not wait for me? I long to reach you, so that even in hell we may throw our loving arms round each other and draw cold comfort from our tears.
What the hell is this film about? It's not a story, although it does have a story in it. I'm not trying to make a point, although the film does have something to say, and it's not about understanding something, and yet I feel as if I'm searching for something. I actually just recorded that, and I don't know if it made any sense whatsoever. I mean, my mother, she died last year, but she was really dying for several years, because I wanted to remember her, as opposed to not forgetting her. To me, there's a difference between remembering someone and not forgetting them. And I'm not quite sure what the difference is, but to me, I wanted to remember her, as opposed to not forgetting her. I mean, I think like any adult, any parent, you can't guess their entire life. It's only when somebody dies that you're actually able to sort of piece it together, kind of like a detective in a way. So I actually didn't, when I started to write music about my mother and start this music project, I actually didn't start with music. I actually started with photography. I think back in the 1950s when I saw a lot of these photographs that she was in, 1950s and 1960s onwards. There's something different about a photograph then than there is now. I mean, obviously, people take photographs all the time now, they're so disposable. But in a lot of ways back then, they were more about a kind of composition. And to me, there was little difference between a photograph and a painting. And what I think is really interesting when I look at photographs of my mother is how, like a painting, she seems to be. I always knew my mother was a kind woman. She didn't believe in grand gestures. Simple acts of warmth was what she practiced. Here she is taking her friend's hand, two young, excited girls in Glasgow. In my favourite photo, her brother and neighbours gather before the camera. A hot breeze blows the curtains and sheets behind them. My mother's quiet nobility amazes me as she extends an arm around her older, awkward neighbour. "It's okay," she seems to say, "I'm here beside you." Looking back through photographs, I began to see this modest kindness more and more, and how the soul is lifted by her gentle love. It's funny when you're writing something and you're so determined, so concentrated on this one thing, and then for no reason something else, comes along that you hadn't expected. Like I was doing this little sort of riff. I was born without a gun, with no one. Don't tell me what's right or wrong. I was born and on my own. And then so you think, that's quite good. And then you go up another time and you're just sort of getting ready, and then so you just hit a couple of chords. Rainbows keep a knocking me down. Rainbows keep a knocking me down. You think, well, where did that come from? And I think it's all to do with being in that sort of area where you're constantly thinking about your subject and about how you want to explore that thing. So anything can happen. You pick up the guitar and literally anything can happen. Rainbows keep a knocking me down. Rainbows keep a pushing around. Rainbows keep a spinning around. I don't want them to pass. I just want them to last. Rainbows keep a knocking. Mid-1950s, early 1960s, I just find it really fascinating time in Scottish history. When you look at the sort of boomer, what we now know as the baby boomer generation, I suppose I was the last part of that, coming out of the war, all these people living in Glasgow, cheek by jowl, if you like. And then this new town idea comes along, and Scotland decides that they're going to develop, I think Britain actually, not just Scotland, but I think in Scotland there was 5 new towns. And what a tremendous opportunity that was for people, living in Glasgow at that time, that maybe had to share a loo with 4 or 5 neighbours, live in one room, maybe have to go to the park instead of having their own back garden. The sorts of things that we all sort of take for granted. And of course the Newtown environment is the environment that I grew up in, and that my mother, if you like, became a mother in. And what I found really interesting about that was how, for her, that optimism gradually turned sour. It turned into a sort of kind of nightmare. And for us, her children, it was a place where we had to get away from, but yet it started with fireworks.
Let the sun come out today. Let the night wait for
My earliest memory was I would be about 4 or 5, and we had got the house in East Kilbride. We lived in Glasgow, and I came out with my dad in a small van and saw the house that we were going to live in for the first time. That would have been about 1951, 52. It was unbelievable. We had always just lived in a typical Glasgow tenement, 3 floors up. My recollection is there was 2 bedrooms, the big kitchen, sort of living room combined, and to go out to East Kilbride with a lovely wide open street. It was a 5 apartment, 4 bedroom detached house, front and back garden. I can still remember running in the front door and thinking, wow, is this all for us?
Because I'd never seen anything like that at all. And then we just motored on up to where our new house was going to be and just looked at it, and just the whole space, having grass at the front, grass at the back, a bathroom. It's just amazing, and stairs to run up and down, because we'd lived in a tenement previously and the stairs were great fun. I remember my brothers really enjoying running up and down the stairs.
But yet everything was new, and as I got older, I began to realise that the whole idea of East Kilbride, to be honest, I thought was brilliant. Whoever thought it up just thought up the way everyone should live.
Blantyre's a traditional mining town, and East Kilbride was one of the new towns that were coming up after the Second World War. New houses, new opportunities, new employers. So it was a kind of forward-looking thing. So a chance to make a new start. The actual house that we were in Blantyre, that actually belonged to my mum's granddad.
Right.
Yeah, so we were living with him. Mum was effectively caring for him.
Right.
Then.
I think no matter what you thought about the new town, Saturdays were always special. Saturday afternoon in the town centre, and then when you got older, Saturday night at the Olympia or in the bars. And I think for me, the more of a prison that the new town became, the more of an escape Saturday night became. I think that's probably the same for a lot of people, but it was particular in the new town because in a lot of ways the social engineering of the new town meant that escape was much more of a value to me. In saying that, maybe I took it too far. 10 pints of beer, 10 vodkas, and then the strange need to have an Indian curry at 11 o'clock at night.
love lasts? How deep is the fight?
Oh. Yeah, we'll do it from the top again. Sorry. You were right, I was wrong, so I do apologise. But then, you know, you would drag yourself home at 2 or 3 in the morning, maybe sometimes 4, and then during the summer, maybe 5 or 6 dawn. And I always remember just sort of drifting off to sleep in my bed, and then I could hear my mother downstairs ironing, as if she was really angry at something. And I think that her body clock was just built differently from everybody else's. So her Saturday night was always different to the rest of East Kilbride's.
Saturday night we used to go to the Shawfield Stadium, which was a greyhound stadium in Rutherglen, and we all liked the sort of soul music, you know, that type of thing. So we went there, so it was dancing to kind of normal chart music, and then for an hour they put all like the Motown stuff on, which absolutely I just loved, and that hour was well worth just going for that. Then we would go back, get the bus, and again we were back home by about 10:30, you know, so that happened quite a few Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
I won't wear my jeans tonight, but you can wear what you like. I'll walk till you stop parade. I'll be on time and you'll be late. How long will our love last? How deep is the fight? Just remember, we still believe in Saturday night. We still believe in Saturday night. We're gonna go out, we're gonna stay out. Just remember,
The old songs are better than the rest. There we go, on the drum roll.
new music on the radio. It's too sad and it's too slow. Grandma keys by the porch window. Head down the road so we both know. 'Cause the old songs are better than the rest. And for you, my love is better than the best. I know that time will tell. Our sunsets are the best. Woo!
think I'm really pleased about the way that mental health is now, if you like, being thrust into the limelight in British culture and in Scottish culture as well, and people are certainly on the surface much more sympathetic and understanding about what used to be the mysteries of and the stigma of mental ill health. But sometimes, I wonder if a lot of people, especially celebrities who talk about, mental health, sometimes I wonder if they really know what is involved with somebody who has serious mental health issues, but is not in a hospital or being cared for. They're actually living what seems to be a normal life. It's absolutely horrendous. And I know, growing up with my mother, who suffered a lot from psychosis, how difficult that was, when you're 9 and 10 or 11 years old, to see your mother, if you like, saying things that are completely ridiculous and false, but to her they're absolutely unshakably true.
Strange times, they make you live strange times. Hard lines, they wrap you in hard lines. I wish you home, my good old girl. I wish you home. Cold hands, they left you with cold hands. And old palms, they made you live in palms. I wish you home, my good old girl.
It's a really tough thing to go through when you're growing up, but it doesn't matter how tough it was for me or for my brothers. I mean, it must have been absolutely terrible for my mother to have these problems and not be able to really be able to talk to anyone about them, to be actually, I suppose, ashamed of them, to keep them hidden. I mean, right up till she died, I don't think she ever really acknowledged the kind of difficulties that she was having. There were definitely periods in her life where she coped with it very well, but there were also periods in her life where it overtook her. And psychosis, being psychotic is, being floridly psychotic, that is a big deal. If you've ever met somebody who is floridly psychotic, that is very, very difficult thing, to deal with. And I think it's a real tribute to her that she tried to manage that. It's kind of like having, 2 broken legs and 2 broken arms and a broken neck, and being asked to, function normally. And how she coped with that, I'll never know. But when it came back in her 80s, it came back with a vengeance. Her having, suppressed it for so long, it came back in old age, and it ravaged her.
Hey! Hey!
Go for it. Oh, you did well. One more.
Well, that is it. That's my little film about my mother, and I suppose about me, and I suppose a little bit about East Kilbride, and a little bit about meeting and working with so many creative people and how energising that is. Just as a final thought, I think for me, how I deal with loss, with the loss of my mother, really depends on how I keep her alive in my mind. And I like to think that I have remembered my mother, not forgotten her. But also I've remembered Lilian, who I didn't know. The Lilian of the estates, the Lilian of Glasgow, who was alive before I came along. And wherever she is, I wish her home.
Working man, got $9.50 in my hand. When God comes down to say hello, I'll spend my money, then I might go, oh yeah. There is no rich man that I need. There are no riches that I need. God comes down to say hello. Rich man stays, oh rich man goes, oh yeah. I'll leave my footprints in the sand, 'cause we're all equal man to man. When God comes down to say hello, I might stay or I might go, oh